Hello, guys. This is Thomas from FINEIGHT, and welcome back to another recap. Thursday, huh? Really confusing and really challenging market today. So let's start with the S&P, and uh, it started. This is the 5-minute chart. It started with, let's use arrows first, with a huge sell-off, which then reversed in a V-shaped reversal. Then from 10:30 to 2 2:30, it consolidated more or less, and then in the last hour it just ripped higher. Now, it wasn't surprising because the 200 moving average and the 50 exponential moving average are both here in a really tight region from 300 to 30150, which is coincidentally the low of today. So, in a way, I was expecting a long, but then on the other hand, the market was gapping slightly down. So the initial momentum down was somewhat to be expected as well. So yeah, really confusing day, and that's why I'm really happy that I squeezed very small but uh, a profit in the end. So let's start with the first trade of the day, which was in Macy's. And you will see that this was a short, which, as I showed you just a second ago, the initial movement of the S&P was short. So this was a great idea, a stock that was capping under the lows of the previous days. So namely yesterday and 11th of June. And so after a little bit of consolidation, it started to drop. So I shorted under 650. Now, I could have pre-entered somewhere around here, like 54, 53, and maybe I would have gotten, 1 to 1, but with a stock that is valued this low, every cent is a huge movement. And so I really thought that Mace is going to drop somewhere around here, perhaps, 620. So for that, the risk to reward was, of course, great. However, it then reacted to the market bottoming out and going higher. And I tried to find some additional entry later, but it wasn't showing anything I liked, so I just let it go. So that was the first trade and a loss. Now, the second, and I will. The second was in KBH, but I will show you the NK first. So NK was a climactic move that I expected to go lower, but from the open it really ripped higher, and so then when it finally reversed and consolidated, I saw an interesting opportunity to short it below VWAP, and actually candle this candle right there was perfect for me, because that meant the higher prices were tested, but immediately rejected. So this was a final, you know, final kick of the market before going down. And so I put an order at 1092, I believe, and it, really jumped downwards. So I got filled 2 cents late, which for $11 stock is significant slippage. I had a really tight stop of 11.6, I believe. And so my plan was to get rid of some of the shares near those near this low, this swing low right there. So possibly 71, 72. Uh, just because I have an experience that those small caps, uh, they really uh, they really don't like big moves like uh, Boeing or something. So after the first hour and a half, they are usually pretty much done for the day. So this was already pushing it a little bit. So I decided to get rid of half of my shares here, and immediately it reversed out of nowhere, a huge surge in volume and price, and it got me out. I managed to put my stop loss a little bit closer at 11.01. But yeah, this is why you should always keep your stop losses, because you never know what comes. And there was nothing in the spiders or overall market that would cause this. It was just the big players saw an opportunity in not very liquid market to manipulate the prices. So really happy that I took some profit. Overall was very slightly green on that. And lastly, KBH, a really nice trade. I only got to 1.2 R from it, but let me explain how it happened. So you have a stock that is gapping well over, basically the previous month of price action. It's gapping also under both of the moving averages, under the swing low here. So a really nice short setup. The pre-market, you know, the only concern from the pre-market is that it got as low as 27.70, which is this low of those candles right there. So that was the only spec that I didn't like, but overall, a really nice setup. And so when it opened, uh, it consolidated. Then, as the spiders moved higher, uh, I waited to see if there was an opportunity. And if I show you the SPY at that moment, kept it kept making higher highs there. The SPY kept making higher highs, but the uh, KB Home stock didn't. So that was showing a relative weakness to the market, and that's why I decided to enter below 29.40. So you can check the arrow right there, the little red arrow on this candle. That's where I got filled. So uh, right from the open, not a good sign, because it basically tricked me into entering, and then consolidated a little bit more. Then came the drop. Now my stop loss was not over those highs, it was actually 30.1. Maybe that was my mistake, but I saw the S&P going higher. I knew that it had to reverse sooner or later, but I wasn't sure if the KBH wouldn't like to go a little bit higher before eventually going down. So that's why I chose 30. Now my final uh, target would be somewhere around here, 28, 30, and first one around 50. So initially it went as low as 28.80, but stopped and then started, a really tedious slow fest with the S&P also ranging, and so then I believe it was, yeah. So right there, when it formed a really nice breakdown pattern and the volume suddenly rushed into the market again, because as you can see, this was basically a dead market up until this point. So that's why it was ranging, 20 cents maximum. And at this point, I was around break even. And I thought to myself, okay, so the interest is back on. So let's reduce the stop loss to 70 and add to the position to manage the same amount of risk and to provide for a closer stop loss, a closer target as well, because I didn't really trust it to make significantly new low. So I decided to move my profit target to 29.02, first one, and second one I would decide when the price got there. And this was possible because I basically doubled the position and moved my stop loss to half of what I originally had. So then the breakdown happened and it dropped very nicely, got out of my first half, and then seeing as this was a really tight range all the way up until this point, and this was making really matching these swing lows, I decided to close the second half as well, because this was already a really nice big move compared to the previous 2-3 hours. And yeah, surely enough, it went as low as 28.30. So left some money on the table, but overall, I was really happy to be done with this trade, and I think I managed to make the best of the situation. So ending the day slightly in green, 0.4%, something like that. Considering the challenge of today's market, basically undecided up until the last hour, I would say it was pretty solid. So hope you guys didn't panic. Tell me what you traded, what was successful, what was not, what was your lesson today, and I will see you in another read.